Hello and welcome to EDHRECast in person. Hi guys, we're in a hotel room again.
We are. Well, you've heard of Commander at Home. This is Rec on the Road.
There you go. There you go.
EDHREC portable.
Portable EDHREC, yeah. We're here in MagicCon Atlanta recording something from our hotel room. Wanted to get some stuff out to y'all because we have a fun announcement in this video actually. But also just want to catch up. Hope you guys have been having a good weekend. I know it's been a sleepy time for all of us because it's always go, go, go with these things.
Yeah.
My thought process was like Sunday will be free. I can just play a bunch of games, and of course we're here recording. So
There it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Recording. In case you couldn't tell, I've had a great weekend because my voice doesn't exist anymore.
Yep. Yeah. I'm telling you, bring cough drops to these things.
Bring cough drops. Bring chapstick because you're gonna need it, folks.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's been a good time, though. And it's nice to hang out in person, to
Yes.
get a show
Yes.
out to folks in person. And we do have something fun to announce, which people can probably tell from the title of this video, that the SALT votes are coming back on EDH.
Yeah, we use the term "fun" loosely in terms of
Yes. I always have fun with them. Those polls are so much fun.
The polls are fun. The cards, I guess, are the one that
Well,
isn't
and
fun.
the debate sometimes gets just as salty as the
Yes.
actual cards themselves because
Yeah.
turns out people disagree on what cards get folks salty or not. But that's the whole point of the SALT scores, anyways. Like,
100%.
So the SALT score is back. The survey is up now. Like if you're watching this, you can go to edhrec.com/salt, vote on all the saltiest cards in the format, and make sure you give Turgid a 4. You can do that right now, folks.
Turgid and Basic Island.
Yes.
It is actually funny. We do see that in the
Yeah,
SALT score.
well, for-
Of the basic lands, Island is noticeably higher than the other basics. Not by too much. Like, it doesn't register as like a 4
Like,
out
there
of
are
4.
people that see Island and like salty.
Yeah, like
yeah.
for the meme of it, or cards that say salt in the name, like sowing salt and stuff like that, and a meme high score on those two. But I am interested, now that the salt scores are coming back, and they're going to be available, they're going to be live for this whole week, right?
Yes. So all week. So until Friday, I'm looking up the dates because I'm very good at this. So it'll be until October 3rd. That's
There you
when
go.
the SALT voting closes. So Monday to Friday, make sure you get all your votes in there. We've seen some wild high scores too. Like people
Yeah.
absolutely love doing this. People are posting on social media. So if you can get one of those high scores, like I think the highest I've seen was over 5,000.
5,000 votes?
5,000 votes. And
From one person. Damn.
from one person. So if you can be out there and set the high score, kudos to you.
It's a fun game. I really enjoy it. Plus, you find a lot of cards that you've never heard of that way, which I also
Oh
love
yeah,
that too.
absolutely.
But I'm interested, now that we have the brackets system, whether that will affect SALT scores this year. I'm interested at the end of this, once we have all of the results and we start tallying all of those things.
Yeah.
Whether the fact that brackets exist and, for instance, things like MLD now being dedicated to bracket 4 and 5 space, whether that will affect people's impressions and cause any differences in the SALT voting. I'm not sure what to make of that.
So I'm sure it will, but like that requires us to like predict how people will respond. So I can speak for myself. Speaking for myself, last year at this time, when a Winter Orb comes up on as a card to vote on,
Right.
Okay, I would have given that,
Like a 4.
four salt shake.
Yeah.
Like that's a salty card.
Yeah.
Today, my attitude is, oh well, I'm never going to see it in 3
Sure.
or 2. I'm unlikely to see it
You
in
might
3.
see it in some threes, depending on like the play group.
It's much less likely to see it in a 3. Like in 4, who cares? Like you're expecting to see it in a 4.
Yeah.
So it's much less salty for me because like I know whether or not I'm playing in a place where I'm going to see it.
Right.
So for me, it has definitely changed how I'm going to vote because a card becomes less salty because I know I am putting myself in a position to see it or not.
Yeah.
Versus some cards, we'll talk about cards that like we find personally salty later on. Maybe.
Yeah.
Cards that like might show up anywhere.
Yeah.
Will annoy me more maybe because like I can't necessarily opt out of that experience in a way I can with the brackets. So,
I do
how about you
think
two?
from year to year, the mass land destruction, the game changers, that's where I think the most flux is going to happen. Just because this is
Yeah.
now that we have brackets, this is the first SALT voting because we only do this once a year.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a chance to do the SALT voting with the brackets kind of
Yeah.
in mind. So all those points you said, every single one of them, I absolutely agree. I'm really curious to see if this makes game changers, the SALT scores on those go down. Like you have stuff like, even stuff that like should be game changers, like the Great Henge and cards like that.
Oh my
too.
word, you're obsessed with the Great Henge.
I really do think that should be a game changer. I'll still play it. I mean, but
Yeah, I love that we disagree on that.
yeah. But still, like the cards that are game changers and mass land destruction, all those types of things.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see if those SALT scores do go down, just because people aren't seeing them in those situations that they don't belong there as much.
Right.
So to give you an example, like Armageddon,
Yeah.
always a high salt score card.
Always, yeah.
But if you were exclusively a bracket 2 player, are you going to give it a salt score because you're never going to see it?
I mean, they might actually give it a salt score because you're not supposed to see it.
Sure.
So if you are, and
that's
you
what I
only ever
wanted
play
to
bracket 2.
That's what I wanted to pose is just like, do we think that like these being dedicated game changers or like any mass land denial or like resource denial cards like the Winter Warp, like the Stasis, which are historically these most salt-inducing cards.
Yeah.
We see
Right.
the highest scores for those every single year. Whether like them having a dedicated space just like amplifies that spot and like continues to keep them there and cements it rather than flexing it. Like I feel like it is going to go one of those two directions. I just don't know which.
I think it could be a push and pull too. It might bounce because I think some people will go one way and other people will go the other way. So like I think it's gonna and it might end up bouncing out and maybe nothing changes, and that's gonna be like really disappointing because I really do like seeing the results and just comparing year to year too because you can really do see some numbers that evolve over the time, which is that's the interesting part to me is to see how the perception of some of these cards changes just as new solutions are introduced to the format.
Yes.
Well, and we're also talking about scores going down, but like I'm wondering which ones will maybe go up.
Sure.
So thinking of the one that jumps to mind, Trouble in Pairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best draw options in white you could run in bracket 2. Because you can run it in bracket 2, right? It's legal.
Yeah,
it's not a game changer.
Used to be a game
It
changer.
was
Anymore,
briefly, it's not.
formerly it was a game changer.
And I feel like there's probably a lot of bracket 2 players that are like, that card is really annoying because I see it in a lot of decks.
That's a great point. Cards that people think should be game changers
Yeah,
might
right,
get higher
right.
scores
So like,
this year.
it wouldn't surprise me to see something like that move up. I don't know what the other examples would be at the top of my head, but like Sylvan Library, perhaps. Like right, like that's you're going to see that a lot probably in bracket 2 because it's so strong and you're limited with your other options. So I'll be really curious to see if some of those kind of cards move up.
Oh, and I'm really curious too to see like if as a result of the salt scores as we put those out there. Again, first time with the brackets. Does Wizards take a look at that? And we all work. We work for EDHREC. They do not ask us for any of that data. They see just as much as everybody else does. So there's nothing proprietary there. But I don't think it should influence game changers at all because there's always going to be inherently some cards that do create some salty feelings. But I hope that it isn't a consideration when picking game changers because I do think that power level doesn't necessarily correlate. Which to me, the game changer should be based on power level. As like the driving factor in my mind.
Yeah, we're having a bit of an observer effect that could potentially bias things here.
Yeah.
So hopefully for people in decision-making positions here, it is something that they can keep their eye on, but it hopefully isn't going to sway things too much more.
So I disagree a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
I don't think they should look at it and be like, oh, well, this is the saltiest card in bracket 2. We should make that a game changer. But if they were to look at the cards on the salt score and be like, oh, Trouble in Pairs again, for example, is so much saltier than anything else on the voting system. Maybe we should consider the fact that like this is standing out as being significantly more so than something else. Okay. So like there's a real weird outlier. I would say that's maybe worth considering. Okay. But like if the top 3 salty cards are slightly above the next 10, that's probably not worth even looking at.
Interesting. Sure. Yeah. I'm excited to see what the results are. Again, the salt voting is going to be open for this entire week until October 3rd.
Until October 3rd.
Yep. EDHREC.com/salt if you want to go voting and discovering some really cool cards. Real quick, before we continue on with other talks of like some salty stuff, because there's even more to plunder here, we want to do a couple of quick shout outs. First, we got to shout out one of our patrons. This one's going out to Alex Pierpoint. Thank you so much for supporting us at patreon.com/EDHRECast. Patrons, you make the whole show just so wonderful and rewarding. So thank you. Yes. Thank you, Alex.
They get the peer point. It's okay.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
It was just like, and T-minus 10 minutes until we hit the dad
but we
joke.
did like, but to be fair, like here in Atlanta, we did get to play games with all of our patrons. It was really cool getting to meet everybody in person, and so we definitely appreciate getting to see all of our patrons in person. So like, if you would like to join that, patreon.com/EDHRECast, it helps us come to these events.
Yeah.
It makes it feasible to like do all these things and get to interact with patrons. So yeah, we definitely appreciate all of that support.
And we're working to add more content even to Patreon behind the scenes. Like if you are a patron supporter, things that you will have access to that isn't out there in the real world. Like every week,
real world.
The real
world.
in the digital world. So like every week we do at least one thing. We're hoping to add. We're planning to add more definitely down the road.
Yes.
So it's absolutely worth your $2 a month to like join to see us do more stuff, and we're going to keep adding more stuff.
So thank you all, and we got to shout out Dragon Shield. Makers of fine sleeves, and the announcement they had this weekend, holy crap.
Yes.
Was so freaking wonderful.
all 3 of us are super excited. So they announced that they have a new land series for their sleeves. So if you like all of the, what was it, the dragon scale art from Tarkir Dragonstorm is now on sleeves. Well, because it used to be, there was only one way that you could get licensed art on your sleeves. Dragon Shield now has that option. So if you love Dragon Shield sleeves, you can get Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering art on your sleeves and have it still be Dragon Shield. That's It is huge. It's amazing.
The Ur-Dragon, the new Landfall series with the Verdant Catacombs, with the Arid Mesa, with the Misty Rainforest, with all of those. Freaking gorgeous. Our jaws fell open when they
it was so cool.
And seeing the line at their booth at the con was also just like, it was never empty. It was people
huge.
are so hyped for this, and that includes us. We're hyped.
I've gotten texts from friends this weekend already, like, "Hey, can you pick me up some of these sleeves when
Nice.
you're there?"
Hell yes.
And I've been putting it off because like the line has been crazy long.
The line has been so big.
So I've been like, maybe if I wait till Sunday afternoon, and so. When we go back after we record this, I actually have to go get in line to get some Dragon Shield sleeves for some friends.
They're great. They look so good in person.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. They also announced the Guild Pack series too.
Oh man.
So if you have like your 2 color combinations, you want to get it for your favorite guild, you can do that. And like those are all coming out soon. If you weren't able to get to MagicCon Atlanta here, but that's where everybody was able to get them first. But I know that the Landfall series is coming out in December.
Yeah.
And then sometime early next year is what they're hoping. To have the Guild Pack series. It's super exciting. It's like a huge development. The people that win the most are players out there who just love having like this art that they love on their sleeves.
Yes.
And there's an Ur-Dragon sleeve too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is the most popular commander in EDHREC. So like by association, I'm assuming if you all start building Veil Candle Keep Researcher decks, so it becomes the most popular, I can then get Veil sleeves for my Veil deck. So like, you know, what, 20, 30,000 more of those decks out there?
Yeah.
You guys can help me get sleeves actually I want for one of my decks.
We can make that happen.
Funny part is you don't have to actually do that. You don't need to submit like 30,000 decks. Their sleeve crafter is still there.
That's true.
You go to the sleeve crafter, get custom sleeves with whatever you want. So if you want a picture of our like shining faces, I mean, yeah,
you got us all mugging for the camera at the same time.
you could still do that at Dragon Shield. So no matter what you're getting with Dragon Shield, make sure you use promo code EDHREC.
Yes.
It's going to get you a discount and lets you know that we sent you there, and it helps support the show. Same way as Patreon does. So make sure you check them out.
Yeah. Okay, back to talking about some salty developments. The salt votes are up. But also, you know, we talked about how the brackets might affect a couple of things. What new cards that didn't exist in last year's voting do we think are going to show up this year as new salty cards?
I mean, there's one obvious one.
Yes, there is one.
There's
obvious
one very obvious
leading
one.
question was leading.
Yeah.
I understand.
And honestly, I don't know if there are any ones that are problematic.
I think the obvious one can be problematic, though.
The obvious one is Vivi. In
Yes,
case it's not already obvious enough.
Vivi Orniteer. It's the
Yeah.
new Izzet Commander Spellslinger. You can make a bunch of mana. It gets bigger.
Yeah.
It's the obvious one.
I've already mentally excluded Vivi because it's so good. Actually, I'm like that's
Yeah.
definitely going to be a game changer.
It
I've
probably could
already
be, yeah,
in
yeah.
my head like assumed it's going to happen.
Yeah. Trying to make that one into a bracket
Yeah.
too feels a little bit like,
Yes.
I don't know that feels correct in this bracket. Yeah.
I mean, could you technically make a Vivi in like 99 lands deck? And I guess you're sure it's probably bracket two. Like you could build the dumbest version of that deck and make it bracket two, but outside of that, it's busted.
I have a friend who he's getting back into Magic with Final Fantasy and like really getting invested. And both know him too. He pulled a Vivi. It's one of his favorite Final Fantasy characters.
yeah, me too.
And I was like, man, buddy, I'm glad that you're excited to build this character that everybody knows and loves.
Yeah.
But there's not really point unless you're trying to go really hard. The attention that Vivi gets, no matter what happens, and you sit down at the table. If you say that you're playing like bracket 2 and below, I'm just not going to believe you.
It's hard to buy into. It feels like it's in that Joda tier.
Yeah.
Of like, this is just a rough experience. Even if you're trying to hold it back, you have to try so hard to keep it actually restrained. So I completely agree that Vivi is going to be one of those that we see get a high salt score. For sure. Any others stand out to you though beyond the obvious one?
One card that I played against both of you when we got together last time. So they're the Super Void.
Oh, like the Grave Pact-y thing?
The Grave Pact
type
of effects, Dictative Erebos. It's not as oppressive. I did notice.
I agree.
Because there's a clock on it where like after a certain time, like if you've like crushed everybody, if it turns into a board wipe, it goes away and then it turns the corner and like finds a way to win you the game versus being downward pressure forever.
Right. Yeah.
But I do still think that like it does the same thing that Grave Pact and Dictative Erebos do, where like it puts a ton of pressure on the game, it keeps people from participating. And so in that same vein, if say Grave Pact is a 4, I think it's fine to give that a 3. So it's new from Edge of Eternity, so maybe not a lot of people have seen it yet.
Yeah.
But it's legendary, so like you can't like stack those effects either, which definitely was needed with that card. But Sothera the Super Void is a card that it wouldn't surprise me to see it pretty high as far as like new cards this year.
It's not a problem, but I completely understand why someone sees it pop up as like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's sort of an
that
immediate
card
gut
for-
reaction. Is
Yeah,
something that the
Yes.
salt scores do
100%.
honestly measure because you see it, you
Yeah.
read it, you immediately
Yep,
click.
yep.
There's something of a gut reaction that we're capturing in that, and I think that could be one of those that inspires it for sure. One for me, and this is sort of just like a general sweeping across the board thing. I think Spider-Man cards are honestly going to get higher on average salt scores than most other sets because people just
Maybe.
really don't seem to be vibing with the set very much. So I would expect that they might take their feelings out a little
Sure,
bit
I
on
can
some of
see
those erroneous cards that happen to show up.
I can see that a little bit. I think that has mellowed out a little bit, just that sentiment of like general like
hope so.
dislike for it. Just because now that we had the pre-release last weekend, people are starting to open the cards this weekend. I think it has mellowed out a little bit, and like people are getting back to being excited for a new set again. But I do agree that like there was a ton of disdain online for it. And,
It really was, yeah.
so it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm kind of hoping that like maybe people have like chilled a little bit. They took their chill pill. It's kicking in now.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Because it's certainly not in any way the same type of quote salt as something that is super powerful. Like
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
So it is a different type of gut check,
Yeah.
but it is just interesting, and I suspect that we'll see a trend there. Nothing like huge spikes necessarily, but if we were to measure like salt amongst sets, I think Spider-Man would sort of end up getting in that direction. Is an expectation that
Probably.
I have. We'll see if it actually pans out.
Dana, what about you?
I have one more that I'll throw out there. I think people understand Vivi is salty because even if they've never played against it, you've seen what it does in other formats where people have talked about it. So like there's an instinctive response to giving it a salt score of 4.
Yeah.
I think Storm from the X-Men card.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think people have missed, like it's not doing things in other formats. So like people might like, oh, Storm, that's fine. But if you've played against a Storm deck, you're giving it a 4. Like, I'm serious. Like it's a miserable time suck of an experience.
It's a lot.
And I love Storm. Storm's one of my favorite X-Men characters. It's a great looking card.
Oh, sure. Really.
It's a terrible experience because like the person either takes like a 15-minute turn and doesn't win, or takes a 15-minute turn and win. But either way, they're taking a 15-minute turn. Like, all it does is like take your time. It's not fun.
I think Dana's campaign against Storm is similar to my
Turgid?
command on Turgid. Yeah.
So like having played against that card, I would understand like clicking 4 immediately.
Yeah.
That's a good shout.
The only other cards I can think of that might be like newly arriving to the salt list is any promo version of Aether Drift.
Oh yeah.
Those are hideous. And just seeing those be real makes my like heart hurt.
That's so funny. All right. Well, okay. As sort of an addendum on this, one other question that I think is worth asking is a bit more personal for us.
Sure.
Like these are some cards that we suspect might be out there, because salt voting is crowdsourcing. But we also all know a lot of those cards that historically have gotten high salt scores. I want to ask, what other cards that don't usually get a somewhat high salt score do we personally vote high for when we're doing the salt scores? So like we already know that Turgid does actually get a high salt score.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people feel the way that you do about Turgid. But what other types of cards that don't actually reach up there do we think this time around, if we saw them in the salt voting, we'd be like, okay, that's a 4, or okay, I'm getting that a 3 out of 4, or something like that. What other things kind of hit there?
So I'll put one out there. And again, my caveat for anything I want to mention here is I don't think any of these cards are problems at all.
Yeah.
It's just like they have some like mental trigger for me that like makes me really dislike it.
So popular cards.
There's
The Ur-Dragon, the Ur-Dragon, the Ur-Dragon.
You are not wrong. But one that comes up is Atali Primal Hunger, 12-cent card. It's in like a bunch of pre-cons. You see it in a ton of decks. It's very good. Don't get me wrong.
Really good card.
Wait, Primal Storm or Primal Hunger? The Golgari one or the mono red one?
The mono red one.
Really?
Okay.
That one hits for you?
And here's why.
That's so weird. What?
It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it. It feels like it generates a ridiculous amount of value beyond the effort it takes to do it. You just play it and you're like, no one has a removal spell. I'm gonna get 12 mana of value every turn from here on out for nothing. For showing up.
It is
wild.
6 mana to cast.
It is.
And it has
It's-
to attack.
I'm telling you, I threw a caveat. It's a fair card. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's wild. I have a much bigger reaction to the Golgari Atali.
Yeah, the one as soon as it hits gets the value.
The difference is that you see that less because like people have to. Usually, there's a plan for that as a general good piece. It just annoys me.
Thank you for confirming that the salt is allowed to be irrational.
It is. I am not going to argue my salt.
That is such a.
It is not rational. I am not going to argue.
I'm looking at your list here that you have in our notes, and like I can understand the other ones, but like this one, like I get it. It's a ton of value, but like again, it's 6 mana, and like
it doesn't have haste.
It doesn't have haste. There's a bunch.
It annoys me.
There's other cards at 6 mana that also get you
A lot of value.
A lot of value, and like oftentimes more value. It's like
But for whatever reason, that one feels like the person didn't. I don't know why. It just feels like it's unearned value. I know.
I don't get. Dana just hates dinosaurs for some reason.
I guess. I concede the irrationality of my
Dana didn't eat enough dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets when he was growing up like we did.
There you go. I'll go for one of mine, and maybe we'll see, an irrationality check here.
Okay.
I am pretty often kind of surprised that a card like Telepathy doesn't get a higher salt score. That's the 1 mana blue, everyone plays with their hands revealed, except, of course, for you, the person who played it. It's just a time suck. It's just everything's on the table, and you have to constantly like crane your neck to look over to what other people have. And it also feels like it stymies a lot of play. It slows things down because everyone's like wanting to make exactly the perfect move now that we have near exact perfect information. I don't care for Telepathy.
So Telepathy's saving grace, probably on the salt score list, is it hasn't a reprint since like what?
It's
Magic 10 or something.
You don't see it very old. It's very old.
Yeah. So I would tell you, if Telepathy showed up in a standard set tomorrow, it would spike on the salt score because people who don't know it existed are like, oh, this is awesome. I'm putting it in my deck. So like I think obscurity is what keeps Telepathy down in the salt score.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a salty card.
Yeah.
It just like, oh, you spent 1 blue mana and half of my board space is gone.
It's not even stuff on the table.
Right, it's not even what it does in terms of like power. It's just like, oh, I have to like move all of my stuff around and put my hand on the table.
It's invited some tedium into the game.
Yes.
And to your point of like the obscurity, I would also say something like a Mana Breach is a card that like shifts what color every land makes, and I'm just like, I don't want to keep track of all that. Like that is the kind of thing that would also activate the salt score for me. But historically, those things are obscure enough that people don't have that immediate reaction when you see them. So you just kind of read it, and you're like, yeah, whatever. I'm not having the same reaction to this as I am to a Winter Orb. So historically, those have gotten lower salt scores, but I personally vote them.
I think that what might happen with Telepathy too, because of the discovered disdain, not quite demand, but disdain for it, it might also happen with all the cards, like the older cards they added to the Game Changers list later on too. So you have cards like Tabernacle, like Mishra's Workshop, like all these old cards that like just nobody knew on a lot of commanders, because a lot of commander players are relatively new to the game versus vintage players who know exactly what those cards do.
Game is growing.
You're just drawing attention to those cards, and so people like may have never known that they existed, but now they're game changers, and they're like, oh, I'm seeing that. Oh, now and so the salt score on Workshop might go up and stuff like that. And Telepathy is a kind of a similar thing where it's hiding under the radar, and the more attention is called to it, so the more people are going to be exposed and maybe form an opinion on that. I don't really care one way or another with Telepathy. It removes some of the surprise, but also. It also, like me as a green player who me, like I put everything on the
That's true.
the
Your
field.
hand is already in
I want to know if it's safe to deploy more forces, even though I've already got the game in hand. So that for me, like I would play Telepathy just because I want to know if it's safe to like overextend or not.
No,
That's so funny.
So I have zero problems with like its impact on the game in terms of like my playing cards. I think it's actually a very cool mechanic. I'm entirely talking about me having to move things around on my playmat and put my hand down. Like it's entirely like the logistics is my issue with the card.
Sure, that's so funny. I love that. Like my hand is already in play. I'm playing green.
Right, sure,
there.
Yeah.
That is super funny.
I'm hellbent. Who cares?
Yeah, that's great. Any for you though?
So I will always vote super high on cards. I think the poster child for this, with my approach, I guess, to salt voting is like stuff like Knowledge Pool, where whenever you cast a spell, you exile, and there's all these cards under Knowledge Pool, and I hate those cards because they remove, and Possibility Storm is another one of these that I absolutely hate. Because they take away the ability for people to like do what they set out to do. If it's relegated to the higher brackets, then again it kind of takes away, and like you're expected to be a little more grindy and a little more cutthroat in higher brackets like bracket 4 and CDH. But in normal pods, if you're doing like a Teferi and Knowledge Pool lockout, then like get out of my world. I have no need for your negativity. Sashay away or whatever you say, Joey.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, so Knowledge Pool, like, and just any cards in general, I think to sum it up is the cards that take away people's agency to like participate in the way that like the normal rules function. Those are always cards that I will give 4s to, 3s to, because like people want to play the game, and cards that like prevent people from playing the game as intended. That's where I'm like, come on, get out of here.
Historically, we do see a lot of variants on chaos causing cards. Like,
Yeah.
I think Thieves Auction and something like that do average around a score of like a 2 out of 4 in the Salt score, because a lot of people will give them 4s, but a lot of people give them 0s.
Yeah,
They're like very
sure.
divisive, and we tend to see that historically. So like the Knowledge Pool-esque type of cards that also kind of fit within a similar category is a very, that's an
Our Warp World friend, he'll put Warp World at a 0.
Yeah.
But we'll outweigh
No one
it.
else
Like,
will.
we're a little
bit
raise
like-
the average and put it up at 4. So
Yeah. Oh man, that's so silly. Another one for me would be, I think it's interesting that we tend to see stuff like Turgid and stuff like Notion Thief historically get higher salt scores, but the actual like mass discard outlets themselves rarely get as high of salt scores. Like Cabal Conditioning or Sire of Insanity, cards like that, which just force everyone to basically discard their entire hands. I'm less of a fan, and I would personally have them inch a little bit higher compared to just the payoffs getting a little bit higher.
I think when they're unilateral like that, something in a player's mind kind of clicks a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they see like, well, I'm not the only one having to discard. Like, it's also helping me kind of indirectly because it makes Dana discard, it makes Joey discard, along with me and the person who cast Sire of Insanity, for example. So I could see why that doesn't get as high, because there's enough players that see it like, well, it's everybody, so...
And symmetry is always fair in Magic, isn't that right?
Well, especially when it's scheming symmetry.
I see what you did there, but I'm not.
Okay,
You're not
recognizing
I'm not going
it.
to reward that.
Okay.
This is one I think it depends on how often you run into it. For whatever reason, I very rarely ever run into like mass discard.
I agree.
I
yeah.
understand why it's salty, but like I have run into way more incidental mass land destruction or incidental like stasis-ish kind of stuff versus discard. So I get it, and if I run into it a bunch, I would find it salty too. I just don't see it, so like it's one of those things I kind of don't really think about as being salty because it's not done in the area I play in.
So you just mentioned stasis. I'm going to take this opportunity to bring up a really funny situation that I saw this weekend. So this is unrelated to salt votes, but it was very fun, like in light of that. So somebody cast a Teferi's Protection. Everything phases out.
Yeah.
The life total can't change till the next turn. Well, somebody else played a stasis in response to that before they got their next turn.
Okay.
Which skips their untap step.
Oh.
That's when things phase back in, is during the untap step.
Oh no.
So
wait, did they just stay phased out? How does that work?
They stay phased out.
What the freaking freak?
So if you want to counter somebody's Teferi's Protection, just play a stasis. It was the wildest situation I have ever come across, and I just could not wrap it. And the person loved it. Like, thankfully, the person who got stasised out accidentally was a really good sport. Like, I love seeing situations like that. That's really cool.
That's very fun.
But yeah, just you said stasis, and it reminded me of a very fun play from this weekend. So if you want wild things like that on the battlefield, like, come to these
So
Magic
Matt
folks.
says run a stasis in all of your decks.
I'm not saying
just
that.
in case someone casts
Stasis is the saltiest card routinely. Every year that we've done the salt scores, it has been extremely high. Well, the top 5 cards every single year.
It's amongst the top 2 every single year.
Yeah, it's
Aiden Winter are like changing up.
interchangeable. Yeah. So I'm not advocating for stasis. I'm just saying it was very funny to see a Teferi's Protection
That's good.
get backfired just as hard as it did.
Matt is in fact telling you do have to fight salt with salt and create a salt arms race amongst your play group. That's definitely what you're saying.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, totally, Joe. Yes.
Any others that we vote high for? Any other
So
shout-outs?
I mean, there's something like I have a couple mechanics on here, but it's kind of an Atali situation. Like, I can't stand Cascade.
Okay.
I can't stand Discover. I get why they're interesting in like a different environment. So like if you're playing a modern deck, you have to have a plan. I'm going to cast this Shardwell's Agent, and I need to have something I'm planning to hit. So I'm building my deck a certain way. I'm including some cards. I'm not including some cards. It's an interesting mechanic, I think, in Modern. In Commander, it's just free stuff. I'm playing this thing that's giving me free stuff.
Dana
and I'm gonna
hates free stuff. He's so different
so-
from us. I love free. Food
yeah.
tastes best when food is free. I love free stuff.
So something clearly between this and Atali, I feel like getting things you didn't earn annoys me.
Quote earn. Listen,
Yes, I know. Again,
Yeah,
I understand that that's a ridiculous thing to say.
I'm a reanimator player. I'm cheating mana costs all the time, Dana. So
What?
I can't follow
Like,
you down
you-
this
what-
road.
No Maelstrom Wanderer player ever earned the thing they got off Maelstrom
Wow,
Wanderer. None of them
Dana.
ever did.
Wow, hard stances.
they're-
I'm gonna give Dana a salt score of 4 in my voting. Is
They're,
what I'm
they're,
doing.
Maelstrom Wanderer players are all Nepo babies. They just got it for free.
Meanwhile, I'm over here Sylvala stampeding like
know.
like a civilized person.
Yeah, Matt's over here, Elvish Piper and creatures into play for totally free, and it's just, oh man, that's so silly. I love that we can like find these like little proclivities amongst each other, though.
I feel like we need to make like a T-shirt. It's like gentlemen cheat and in parentheses in Magic.
Sure.
Just like we need that disclaimer. You shouldn't cheat on your partner, but like in Magic,
In
we
Magic,
do.
yeah.
In Magic, we do.
So I have
I can't follow you down this road either.
That's fine. Okay, don't make that shirt then.
So I have one more, and this also could be a category, actually. And this is a card I don't see much anymore, but Marisol the Pretender, as a commander, used to always annoy me because the way Marisol works, you play and you exile a card, and Marisol has access to the abilities of the exiled card. And when I used to run into Marisol decks regularly, we're talking like 8-10 years ago or something, they're always exiling very useful things, but like it's just random uncommon from Stronghold, and I'm going to exile this one card from Alliances that are very good, but you are now making me do a bunch of mental work.
Yeah.
I have to remember these 3 cards you have exiled that you're going to occasionally use for abilities. So as a category, things that make me do extra labor mentally are very, very salty for me.
Yeah,
Dungeons are the same way. Like I can't read that upside down dungeon with 4-point font. So you're making me do extra work to analyze like where that's at, and like, oh, now I actually took the initiative. I have to get my own little dungeon out and keep track of that. So that's the thing that makes me salty. Stuff that makes me do extra work.
Yeah, so you don't want to get assigned homework.
That's what you felt about Strixhaven with all of the 2-sided lots.
I did, yeah. Well, and they make you learn on Strixhaven cards. I don't want to do that at all.
You're still as the player. I'm
not here to learn.
I'm here to play my stuff.
Muscles
all on the field.
Muscles go boom.
Wow. Oh my word. It is interesting to see all these patterns amongst us. I am, again, curious to see what the results will be at the end of this, especially given new cards, new shifts in the format, new updates.
Yeah.
And of course, with the way that the brackets will potentially affect these things as well. It'll be very interesting to see these final results.
Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting. I'm glad we do this. I'm really glad the community really gets invested in how well this goes and just how many times they vote. People are showing off their salt scores and their vote scores.
I think the first time we did it on EDHREC, we were all kind of shocked
at how popular it was.
We were all surprised for sure.
Yeah. And so like it's one of those things like we do it every year because like now it's exciting to, to see that kind of response that we were not thinking people would be that into.
Yeah, but no, thankfully they are. Yeah. It's been neat to see. I don't know. It's cool having this project coming in for the week after the con, where we've gotten to see a whole bunch of people experiencing in the joy of it, and then to have this be another thing that they can dive into once that is all finished as well. There've been a lot of fun updates over this weekend, and it's neat to have this be just one more piece of that puzzle, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and people are riding the high from Atlanta, and so like everybody's getting home, and maybe that's going to influence the votes a little bit too, because there's a lot of cards coming out. People getting to play in person, and yeah, maybe that has a little bit of influence. I don't know if it's going to be widespread because there's only 16,000 people here in Atlanta playing Magic, so
yeah.
No, it's been a great time. So really excited to see that Vivi will get like a 3-point whatever probably at the end of all of this. But it's been a good time. Any other things that we should say before we wrap up with this short hotel episode of the EDHREC podcast?
The wreck on the road.
The wreck on the road.
We decided that. So
yes, and I am here too. I also ran.
These are fun. We did the one in the hotel in LA. This has been fun too. I think we should.
It's nice to establish this as a pattern now. I'm glad that we can make it happen.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, I was going to say, we should try to do these in the future when we're all someplace together if we can. Make Joey bring a bunch of equipment that he wasn't planning to bring.
I mean, what we need to do is have a really divisive topic. So if worse gets to worse, I don't want to know. Have somebody in the middle of acting as the referee.
Is that what you've been this whole time?
That's why that's in the middle. Right.
I'm not here to learn, so I just
fantastic.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, it's been a fun weekend. We're going to finish up this recording, get some stuff out to y'all, and then head back to the con to experience a little bit more of that go and fun times. But this was really great. Thank you guys for recording with me. And with that, I guess we're going to bid each other adieu. See ya, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the Wreck on the Road.